Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Forever King here, back at you with another video. So today I wanted to give my honest thoughts and opinions on the new Mortal Kombat 1 patch that just dropped. Very big patch for like the competitive side of Mortal Kombat 1. You know, it was kind of obvious that Cyrax and Kung Lao were the best cameos by far, and those two cameos got nerfed a lot. And there were some niche scenarios where Goro was the best cameo for some characters, like Kung Lao and Tanya, for example. They could do their armored attack into Goro's up punch, you know, and create armored launchers that were like plus on block. Or, you know, Kenshi would use Sub-Zero or Frost to like freeze you and do Sento. Some characters would pick Sub-Zero cameo specifically if they're fighting a zoner for that ice armor and, you know, to make projectiles immune. But outside of those three niche scenarios, like fighting a zoner and picking Sub-Zero cameo, picking Kenshi for like freezing cameos, or Kung Lao and Tanya for like Goro and armored launchers. Outside of those three scenarios, it was almost like Kung Lao and Cyrax were just better than every other cameo for every roster character in the game. And you never want a scenario where you just pick two cameos and that's just going to be the two top cameos for whatever character you pick regardless. So it was definitely a good idea to bring Kung Lao and Cyrax in line with the rest of the cast. If you guys watched my last video, you heard me say I agree with most of the patch that just happened. But my main concern is they're making a slippery slope, because as far as I know, they only did nerfs this patch. There's really no buffs. Nitara got a small buff, like when she does blood sacrifice, she only does 1% damage to herself instead of doing 5% damage to herself. So there's a Nitara buff in there at least. But for the most part, this patch was just all nerfs. And that's kind of scary if that's what they plan on doing with all the rest of the patches going forward, if they only want to nerf and not really buff. Me, myself, personally, I'm more of an advocate of buffing the low tiers and buffing the mid tiers up to the top tiers level, rather than bringing the top tiers down to like the mid and low tiers level. Because when you buff a character, you're giving a character more tools, you're giving players more things to do and more fun to be had, you know? Like, if you're using a low tier or a mid tier and your character gets buffed, you're like, man, this is awesome. Like, my character can do more stuff now, like, this is amazing. But if your character gets nerfed, you go into practice mode and you're like, man, all this combos and all these pressure and these tools that I've been practicing for weeks and weeks and hours, they don't work anymore. So if you've been practicing this game for like weeks or months, you know, putting hundreds or maybe even thousands of hours into this game, it doesn't feel good when you get on the game and your character can't do what it used to be able to do. So you kind of feel like you just wasted your time getting good with this specific strategy or these specific tools, and then those tools are taken away from you. So I guess like the point that I'm trying to make is buffs feel great. It feels good to like your character can do more, your character can, you know, has more options, has more routes. And nerfs, it sucks, you know, like for your character to have less options, less routes, less, you know, things they can do, it doesn't feel too good. So I'm more of an advocate of like injecting fun into the game, injecting more options into the game, rather than taking options away, taking fun away. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys an example of what I mean. So let me set this character to recording. So you see how that Cyrax net bounced Scorpion away? Normally Cyrax's net, it captures Scorpion, but specifically on reversal, it will knock the opponent away, when normally it's supposed to capture like that. Now also Sonya, when you do Sonya's leg grab, she's supposed to launch you so you can get a combo, you know? But if you do Sonya as a reversal, for example, it does not launch, it does not combo. So the point I'm trying to get to is the Kung Lao nerf they decided to do. So Kung Lao, the spin, it's supposed to launch you. Now, if it's a reversal, this is a nerf that they just implemented yesterday. The spin no longer launches on reversal. But if you played this game a couple days ago, or like East Coast Throwdown, for example, that spin used to launch, and they decided to, instead of bringing like Sonya and Cyrax in line with Kung Lao by making Cyrax net capture you on reversal, Sonya leg grab, launching you on reversal. Instead of buffing the other cameos up to Kung Lao's level, they decided to nerf Kung Lao down to the other character's level. So yeah guys, I'm all for bringing all the characters in line with each other. I don't want any characters to be too overpowered to be above everyone else. And more importantly, I don't want any characters to suck and just have no reason to pick them. So it's definitely important to like buff and nerf to make most of the characters even-ish with each other. But like I was saying in the beginning of the video, it feels better for someone to receive buffs. It feels better for someone to be like, oh, I can do more with my character now. That feels much better than, oh, I can't do as much with my character as I used to be able to. You don't want this game, I'm going to use MK11 as an example. MK11 was a game that NRS, they decided to make the characters like as plain as possible, as watered down as possible, as vanilla as possible, as an attempt to make the game like, all the characters as good as each other. And they did a good job. They made a polished game. Most of the characters were in line with each other, until they started introducing like Fujin and Jackie jumps. But that's besides the point. The point I'm trying to make is they tried to balance Mortal Kombat 11 by making the characters as plain and vanilla as possible. And they succeeded in doing that. But the issue is you don't want to make a game balance by injecting the fun out of the game. At the end of the day, we play video games to have fun. That's the main reason we play video games. So if you try to make a video game balance by taking all the fun and creativity and craziness out of the game, yeah, you're making a balanced game, but you're sacrificing fun over balance. And balance is important, don't get me wrong. Like, no one wants to play a game that's crazy and balanced to where there's some characters that are super strong, and if you don't pick those characters, then you're just not going to have a good time. Or, a game where there's some characters that are super weak, and if you pick those characters, you don't stand a chance against the rest of the characters. I'm not saying balance is not important. Balance is very important. But in my opinion, you guys can agree, disagree, whatever. In my personal opinion, fun is more important than balance. Balance is important. I'm not saying balance is not important. Balance is important. But like fun and creativity is more important than balance. So you never ever want to sacrifice fun for the sake of balance. So let's say there's two opposite ends of the spectrum, right? There's two extremes. You have a super crazy, broken, fun game. Or you have a plain Jane, vanilla, boring game, right? I'm not saying we should, it doesn't have to be one extreme or the other. We don't have to have a crazy, broken, fun game or plain Jane, boring, vanilla game. You can try to find the middle ground. You can try to find the middle to where it's not too broken, but it's not too plain and boring, but it's still fun. But when you're finding that middle ground, you should try to lean more towards the like fun, broken side than lean more towards the plain, vanilla, boring side, if that makes sense. Don't go off too strong in either direction, but definitely lean more towards fun than balance. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. So the more that you nerf stuff, you're leaning more towards vanilla, plain Jane, boring. And the more that you buff stuff, you're leaning more towards fun. So this patch, it was good. It was positive overall. Like, they toned down Cyrax, they toned down Raiden, they toned down Baraka, they toned down, Kung Lao cameo. Those were all obviously strong, and they needed to be brought in line with the rest of the cast. I agree with that. But I'm hoping this is not a slippery slope that's going to lead to just every patch they're just going to nerf. Like, alright, what's the next top tier? Let's nerf that. Next patch, oh, what's the next top tier? Let's nerf that. And if they just keep doing that every patch, this game's going to eventually turn into MK11. This game's going to eventually turn into Every character is watered down. Every cameo is watered down. There's no sauce. There's no seasoning. Everything's vanilla, plain Jane. And that's not what I want. That's the opposite of what I want. I think that's the opposite of what most people want. So I hope from now going forward, let's just only do buffs. No more nerfs. No, I'm saying, like, no more nerfs. Just, if this character is weak, buff them up. If this character is weak, buff them up. Whatever cameos or characters are lacking, let's bring them up to the rest. Let's not nerf any further. And if we can do that, I think Mortal Kombat 1 will come to a very great spot in like Mortal Kombat history and NRS history. I already have it in my top 3 games of all time. You know, top 3 Mortal Kombat games of all time. And it has potential to be number 2 or number 1 maybe, if they do the right things with buffs and nerfs and DLC and stuff like that. But if they just keep nerfing, it's going to be like Mortal Kombat 11 all over again. To elaborate further on the Mortal Kombat 11 example, when I'm learning a brand new character in Mortal Kombat 11, I felt like after 2 or 3 days, I already learned everything that character had to offer as far as like combos, conversions, things of that nature. You know, Garrus, Kung Lao, Shao Kahn. Within the first 2 or 3 days, I was already doing everything I did with those characters, even like weeks or months after playing them. But then, by contrast, let's talk about like Injustice. My character Batman, I started using Batman in 2013, you know, for Injustice 1, and you know I started using him in 2017 for Injustice 2. I can go on Injustice 1 or 2 right now in 2023, and I can still do new conversions with Batman that I've never done. You know, and I've been playing this character for dang near 10 years. And that is a good, deep, complex character that you can play this character for 10 years and still learn new conversions, still learn new things, compared to Mortal Kombat 11. After 2 or 3 days, you feel like you already did everything. So yeah, guys, that's my honest thoughts and opinions. You guys can feel free to agree, disagree in the comment section down below. Just keep it respectful. And yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and hope you guys all have a nice day. Peace.
Batman wins.